me usually do the intro.
do your thing.
I'm shocked. G'day and welcome back to Pub for Heretics. Today we're just going to be having a chat the shit episode with our co-host
James
and our friend
CJ.
And we're just going to be talking about probably weapons, but odds are we're going to go down the lore rabbit hole of everything else like we usually do. Anyways, so first off, we are at Gamers Village, our friends over here. All their information will be in the description below. Please give them a look, give them some love, but also at the same time support your local. If you don't have a local, this is your new local.
And the Armoury.
And the Armoury as well, where CJ is a commissioned professional painter. So yes, that information will also be in the description. Give them a look. I love their work. I'm probably going to get them to do their Arrowman, and then I'm going to put it into a competition and be like, yes, look at what I did. Don't ask me to do it again.
And we'll put CJ's Instagram as
Yep,
well.
why
Even
not?
though he doesn't use it.
I try to.
Yeah, that information will be here. Information galore. Share some love. But
Are you ready to take your wargaming to the next level? Look no further than Games Village, your one-stop shop for everything Warhammer and wargaming, right here in Upper Coomera on the beautiful Gold Coast.
Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a new player, Gamers Village has everything you need, from miniatures and paints to rulebooks and accessories. Plus, they've got a fantastic community for players to connect, compete, and grow their skills.
Visit Gamers Village today in Upper Coomera or check them out online for all your wargaming needs. Your next great battle is awaiting. Gamers Village, where your wargaming adventure begins.
continuing on. Favorite weapons. James, you probably know the least knowledge about it unless it's from Space Marine 2.
Yeah, I like the chainsword.
Okay.
That's my favorite. Or actually, Abaddon's gauntlet is.
Talons of Horus.
Yeah.
Horus's.
Yeah, well, yes. Which I thought for the longest time that was Abaddon's until he started telling me about Horus. I'm like, isn't that Abaddon's gauntlet? He's like, no. It's
And
Horus's
then we
gauntlet.
reacted to the Horus Heresy trailer, and he's like, "Oh look, it's Abaddon's gauntlet," and I'm just like,
It was actually Horus. I'm like,
Yeah, it's Horus's. It's always been Horus's.
and I'm just like, picture it as like Anakin's lightsaber.
but yeah, the gauntlet would probably be my favorite.
Your favorite weapon. It's interesting as well because Warhammer has a lot of like named weapons and a lot of like weapons that have like their own histories, and then there's just like basic generic weapons, but that's usually how they all start out. So chainsaw and Hot Talons of Horus. Anything else that you like or like using in the games?
I've been like since we've started learning about like Fulgrim, the sword that
Layer blade.
The lead blade.
no, the flame one, the flame.
Oh, Fireblade that Ferrus Manus made for him.
Yeah, I like that story, like of
Him swapping Fireblade and Forgebreaker.
yeah, like Fulgrim made the perfect hammer for Ferrus Manus, and he made the perfect sword.
Well,
for Fulgrim.
it's never
by
outright said
accident.
that they made it for each other, but it looks like they were trying to like win the competition by appealing to each other, and then they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, surely we are each other the winner," and then they swap weapons.
Yeah.
But I like ones that have like
That kind of cool story. to it.
a story to it. It's not like just an issued weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you, CJ? What would be your favorite weapon out of everything that you've seen?
Screech cannons.
The Screech cannons.
Yeah, the Noise Marine Screech cannons.
Yes.
I do. That's what got me to go into Emperor's Children is because I'm a musician,
Yeah.
like guitars and all that stuff.
And I remember we were doing the tier list episode, and they're just like, "Which one?" And you're like, "Which one's the Emperor's Children?" I'm like, "They're the ones with the Noise Marines." Oh, S tier.
Yeah. Because like I eventually, when I get good enough at painting, I want to make like a diorama where it's like Mad Max, where they've got all the guitars, but it's all the Noise Marines, like where they've got like using their guns as like speakers. Yeah, I love like that Mad Max.
All the guitar guns.
Yeah.
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 I'm surprised that they didn't do any, like, even the Noise Marines in the Emperor's Children box.
It was
like-
more guns than actual
Yeah,
weapons.
there's no, like, audio
Why do you think that
weapons.
is? I'm curious as well.
Because it would make the commemorative model obsolete, right? And that's still a really highly sought after model.
Yeah, it's still selling it. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
So if you release Emperor's Children Noise Marines with a bunch of guitars, who's going to buy the commemorative model?
Yes.
It's the odd guy that's like, oh, I like his pose. And then it just becomes like the putrid blight lords. It's like everyone's got that one same $20 model, and it's been entered into Golden Demon a million times, painted a million different ways. That now it's just a $20 model. When I bought it, it was a $50 model.
Yeah.
I think that's what, when I bought my one, it was when it first came out. I knew nothing about it. I just knew there was a Space Marine that had a guitar. I even bought like Goth Rocker as well.
Yeah.
Same thing. Saw a guitar, saw an amp.
You're like a squig that's an amp? Yes, please.
Yeah. Which
Squig speaker.
I'm going to print one day. But anyway.
An actual proper squig speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it.
Even the Christmas models when they do the Red Gobbo and stuff. Yeah, it's different every year, but if you were to release that as just a normal model that's not limited to around Christmas time, it becomes obsolete. So I think that's why there's
Creating
no
that supply and demand.
Guitar Marines or
But it's annoying because it's so ingrained in the story. That's what they like. That's what they are. Is like they come from like the the orchestra.
The Marvigula.
Yeah. Like
That's where it started.
so. They should have audio weaponry.
yeah.
Like you would think.
To be fair, this is like in the future with all this other technology. So, like those guns are probably nothing but sonic based or sound based. So
Yeah.
they are technically instruments.
I do like that they have like in the like backpack sort of thing. They've got like the
Box
speakers.
speakers.
Yeah. So like I do like that they've still kept some sound, but yeah, I
It's
wish.
because they're not like heavy metal enough. Like
Yeah.
they're not like that's what's getting you, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The 80s Marine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hair metal.
Well, like that commemorative model, when it was originally painted, had like a cheetah pattern on it. There
Yeah.
was green, there was yellow, there was
Blue,
pink,
everything.
blue. It was very 80s hair metal
Yeah.
Marine. It's not this. The recent release isn't that. It's more down the Lucius line of grotesque perfection sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even like was like trying to make like a bit of a meme where they had the flawless blades where he's got like the cone head sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like putting that comparison, but like they're so far from perfect, and yet like
Well, in their head, they're not.
no, like and even like the faces of Fulgrim, like of the new mini, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen one where a guy did like the
Barbed wire.
Joker. You know the Joker face where the Joker staples his face
Yeah,
back on.
I've
They
seen
did the
that.
same thing with Fulgrim, like, and that looks that's
There
very
was another one that I'd seen where they'd taken another one of the faces and
Put it in his-
converted the arm to make it look like it was a masquerade
mask.
mask.
I saw, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I
one
saw that
too.
as well. And I saw somebody put like fake barbed wire around it.
Yeah.
And that looked really metal and cool, which is, in my opinion, more the grim dark side of things, where it looks like it's more clean. Yeah. The less grim dark ideas in there.
Yeah,
Because when I think of like Chaos Marines and the Warp, I think of Event Horizon, like that kind of mess,
Yeah.
that level of messed up.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't do more like audio weaponry,
Yeah, more cannons instead of instruments.
like guitars. It's like strumming a
Yeah,
guitar.
but we
and, like,
now have a clearer idea. That I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
But even back to the faultless blades, the reasoning, I saw a thing on Reddit of all places. Some guy had posted a theory as to why the faultless blades have those cone heads.
yeah.
Slanesh is an Eldar
Yeah.
created demon.
Yeah, that's why because Slanesh was always created by the souls of the Eldar.
Yeah.
I've always had envisioned in my head that even though they have no canon, the Chaos Gods don't have a canon idea of what they actually look like. But it would make more sense for Slanesh to be more Eldar-like because of that,
And that's why they've got the cone heads, because all the Eldar and Dark Eldar have the tall.
and that's why all the
Yeah.
demonettes as well. They have like an Eldar pointed ear look.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it all kind of feeds into each other, but it is good when the lore informs the models in that regard.
Yeah.
I just thought someone had like deformed their head and was like, "Oh, that looks good enough."
I
We'll
still
just
think
print
the
a whole
flawless
lot."
blades look horrible, though, the heads. Like, I just don't think that. I think there's a way that it could have been done, but I just don't like it.
I made all my ones with the helmets because I hated the.
I'll change the heads. I've got some STLs that I'm going to run the heads.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't like the
No.
cone head look. It reminds me of the Goonies.
The Goonies, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I can see when I look at them, and then I can't take it seriously.
No,
What's
yeah.
that reference art that you keep using for the memes of them? It's got literally the cone heads.
Yeah, from the movie Coneheads, the Dan.
Right.
Like
Dan
the-
Aykroyd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that movie. And
Right.
yeah, it's just when I saw they announced that and I saw that head, I was like, oh, they just used the head like Coneheads. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. I love that movie. So yeah, that's why I've been making that.
Been using that, yeah.
Using
I never
that
knew the reference.
But yeah, no, I like the audio weapons as well.
Well, there's nothing wrong with you kit bashing, but I don't think they'll ever bring out anything like official for the same reason that you just said.
Well, I've made this like point a few times in the podcast as well as like the upgrade sprues. Like the
Yeah.
thing that I hate about the upgrade sprues is there's like enough to make like maybe 3 Marines. Like you've got,
What do you mean?
you know, maybe 2 or 3 different types of weapons. Like when you buy an upgrade pack, you can't upgrade like say 20 Marines with it.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, you got to buy like 20
20 packs.
packs.
Yeah.
Like that's the only problem is like they make
It's like the upgrade transfers for the Primaris units for the Marines. There's not enough for all
it's
of
like
them.
you know, this is GW making money, but like they do an upgrade pack that you would think you would then be able to change, like say like a Space Marine to be more Emperor's Children like because they don't have that model out yet, but they only give you enough to make 1 or 2 minis.
Yeah.
So like I bought that pack so that I could change out all my dudes with like those guitar guns and stuff like
Yeah.
that. There's like 1 guitar gun, there's
Yeah.
like 1 sword, there's it's like okay. So this is how GW is going to get their money. Is like if you really want it, you got to buy 20 of these packs. And
Or a full 3D printer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because like that's the other thing is that I love Raven Guard, but I bought the upgrade transfer sprue set, and there's literally only 1 beaky head.
Yeah.
Literally, that's it.
But
And
that's
I'm
like
just-
but that's why you're buying it. You're buying it for those big helmets.
yeah. And then I just realized I'll just buy Horus Heresy heads, and they're still going to fit,
Yeah.
No. Pretty cool.
or 3D print.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is that I don't like that GW like says don't bring 3D printing stuff and don't condone it, but at the same time, not really giving us much choice in terms of like creativity.
Well, you kind of have to. Like
Yeah. Well, what's your opinion on the whole thing, CJ?
I like the 3D printing aspect because every army's not supposed to be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't play every army the exact same. Like if you played Blood Angels, you would play it differently to the way that I play Blood Angels. So
Yeah.
they should be different sections.
Yeah.
Characters, I think, are different. Like if you have a Dante and I've got a Dante, they should both look like Dante.
yeah.
But my converted captain is going to be acting a certain way because I've built him that way to be able to do what I want him to do, not for any other reason. So I think that if you're just going to run the same models and then paint them all the same, cool, go to a GW sanctioned event. If not, and you want to have a cool army, then don't take it to a GW.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I started getting into the hobby, I really liked Night Lords. But the problem is that I liked it before the Nemesis Kill Team box came out, Nemesis Claw, whatever it is, and there was no like embellishments. There wasn't any
Unless
proper.
you wanted Forge World
Yeah, and there's no
resin
proper like
stuff.
like Night Lord wing helmets. Like, and they would have these beautiful cover arts on the books, and I'm just like, I want that. How do I get that? And then like because they, out of all of them, I would say next to the Emperor's Children, they're the most unique in terms of how they like there's different cool stuff and
But
everything.
they're also one of the most popular. Like
They're the popular
people
underdogs.
love Night Lords. It's like
I think the books contribute to that too.
Definitely the Night Lords trilogy,
The Omnibus is a really popular book. Personally, I didn't like it. It's a hot take.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You said it before I did.
I got really bored of the Nostraman accent very, very quickly.
Oh, really? That was like my favorite part of it. It must be one of those things where you're either hot or you're cold on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Night Lords are a bit like that, but
Oh yeah,
either love
everyone
them or
that
hate
I've
them.
sort of spoken to either loves that series or hates that series. It's
Yeah.
never, yeah, it was cool.
It's like people who meet Doctor Who. They either really love it or they really don't like it.
Or you only like the newer ones and you hate
Either
the
one.
old ones.
Yeah.
All right, we're not going down that road. We'll be here all day otherwise if I start talking about it. But yeah, so I personally love Night Lords. So, and then that leads into where my favorite weapons, because I love all different types of weapons, especially in Space Marine 2. But my favorite weapons are Conrad Kurz's arm blades, Mercy and Forgiveness. So he named his arm blades Mercy and Forgiveness, so that when his victims scream out for mercy and forgiveness, he's like, sure.
I'll give them to you.
Yeah.
and they're always like the two twin blades. They look almost like the ones from Alien vs Predator. And
Yeah.
Alien,
I was gonna say,
and I
is
love
that like
that.
the Predator?
I love that because I think that looks so cool,
Yeah,
and it's just my vibe.
it's like a.
It's like what's
Wolverine,
that?
but
What's
he's
that meme?
missing one of his claws.
Yeah, it's just like what's that meme? Or just like arm blade's got to be my favorite gender or something.
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I love it, and yeah, and it's just like that little extra embellishment into your army, how you can make your army a little bit more different. Because, for example, I also like word bearers, and I love that they can have like wrappings of the Lictitia Divinatus and all the words of Lorgar all over them, but there's no way that I can creatively do that without an STL printer or learning different skill sets really quickly. And I want to show off how cool these word bearers look, but either I don't have the skill for it or I don't have a 3D printer. Thankfully, I have friends that do, but like but GW doesn't offer that extraness that and my creativity has to make up for it.
The nightmare that I had involving GW was I wanted to play my I forgot the name. The Inquisition shoulder pads.
Oh,
Oh,
Deathwatch.
Deathwatch.
Yeah,
I had to buy so many kill teams, Deathwatch kill teams to get the shoulder pads to run genuine Deathwatch
Yeah.
shoulder pads.
Because the upgrade spirit is only for firstborn, not
I know.
Primaris.
I bought the kill team as
Yeah.
well because I went and bought the Space Marine board game.
Yeah.
So that I could get Titus.
Yeah.
And then I got Titus and I bought the Kill Team box just so I could get the shoulder because I wanted to make Titus how
Into
he
a
was in
Deathwatch,
Space Marine
yeah,
2
beginning,
as
yeah.
Deathwatch. So I've been down there.
Arguably
And then-
the best version of Titus.
We had this discussion once before, like, especially around Space Marine 2. That's like the whole start of the game. Like, you are a Deathwatch. So you would have all these people that have never gotten into Warhammer. And then they're like, oh, they've got a video game. I'll see how I like the video game. And then I might get into it, like, depending on the lore and all that stuff. You play that tutorial, you play, like, a huge chunk of it. You're this Deathwatch. You, like, they tell you a little bit about, like, what the Deathwatch is. You might then go research it.
And then you hear more and more about it as you
Yeah,
go
and you're
along.
like, oh, this
And
is a
throughout
great
the game. Like, this
army.
guy used to be part of the Deathwatch. Da, 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 da. It's sprinkled throughout the game.
But then you go to, okay.
And
I
then,
want my
and then on top of that, the same time that Deathwatch animatic came out from Warhammer Plus,
Yeah.
where there
They
was
were
that crew taking
pushing
on the Necrons.
Deathwatch.
Yeah.
So then these people that have never played before will then go, okay, I want that to be my first army. They look up Deathwatch army, and there's nothing there.
Not
There's only the Inquisition army.
Imperial agents.
Yeah, and you can't even run Deathwatch Marines.
Yeah, but
that's
now
a-
you can because
Now you
you've got
can.
now you can because you got the attachment because there was so much backlash from it.
But how is
I
that
was one of them.
not something that, like, GW would be, talking to the people that are making the video game? So how are they not like, oh, no, don't put him in this because we don't have anything to sell?
I think the problem is the law is set that if you do something wrong, you get sent to the Deathwatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As penance, right?
Yeah.
At the end of game one,
that's what
it
happened.
was deemed that he had done something wrong, so they had to put him into the Deathwatch, regardless.
Yeah.
But he, law-wise, he was in the Deathwatch for 200 odd years.
Something like that.
So there's a 200-year gap between game one
In game
and
two.
game two.
Yeah. So why didn't they? If they knew that this was like, it takes a long time.
I think
to
it was a
make
mix.
game.
I think it was a mixture of Focus Entertainment was creating that. Some other studio was also creating the animatic with them taking on the Necrons. Just happened to coincide with them thinking that Deathwatch and Imperial Agents would be a good move.
But
Yeah.
you can't tell me that GW doesn't have like a massive whiteboard with like where things are going over the next like 10 years. And they see that this video game that's like super popular and they can see that Deathwatch is like.
This is the part where you're applying logic to something that is illogical.
I know. It's like, why didn't they then bring out like, it would have been perfect for them to bring out a Deathwatch army when that game dropped or like
Yeah.
maybe a month after. Like that would have been a perfect timing because then everyone that's gone from the game will then want to buy
Yeah.
the Deathwatch army.
They also only seem to focus on one thing at a time, though, right? So the Space Marine game got released. Tyranids became very, very popular. Same with everything that they sort of release, they focus on one thing
Yeah.
and follow that one thing for a while.
Yeah.
And then they might have a whiteboard of the next 10 years, but then if they release, that secret level series,
Which is so good.
which has Zinch stuff in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then we got a bunch of new Zinch stuff. So the opinions then of what people want have changed. So then the 10-year plan will change.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zinch is planned in year 9, but now we've got people that are buying all this Zinch stuff because it's cool
Yeah.
and new. Bring that forward.
Yeah, and then on
Push
top,
all of the rest back.
and then on
back.
top of that, the older friends like us that were before Secret Level and before Space Marine 2 who hate Zangors, and then people who play Space Marine 2, oh yeah, I think Zangors are cool, I'm going to buy them. And then there's a divide in the community because Zangors suck.
But I also I think of it in a way as well annoying because they'll bring out like these editions. So we're in 10th edition now. But like I feel like what they should do is they should bring out at least 18 Primarchs. So there's 18 like main armies.
Legions, yes.
Legions, yes. Why don't you bring them out? Because like they're now
In
looking
terms
at
of what? What do you mean?
like so 10th edition
Yeah.
do all 18 legions over say like maybe 2 or 3 editions. It just seems like whenever they bring out a new edition, it's like I will always bring out new Space Marine. We'll always bring out new Ultramarines.
The reason why that is because whenever there's a new edition, there's the counterbalancing of the game and of the rules. And like some armies will be nerfed and some won't be, and some will get their perks and some armies will get their refresh, and then they'd be goated for an addition or two. But it's just constant. Imagine it as a spinning plate game. They're just constantly spinning the plates to make sure that all the factions get, but some get broken on the floor. Votan being one.
That's the thing. It's like they've every new edition they always bring out refreshes for Space Marines.
Yeah,
like
because
for
Space
Ultramarines.
Marines. Because I would say Space
Orcs.
Marines are the
Poster
big,
boys.
they're
Poster
poster
boys.
boys, and they're the money makers.
But currently, more than anything previously, the new people coming into Warhammer have come from the games.
yeah,
The games are Ultramarines.
Yeah,
So they're
Yeah.
going to flog the Ultramarine angle. People are going to buy the Ultramarines and go, hold on, there's more than just Tyranids.
yeah,
And then branch from that into God
as
knows
like
what else.
a
Yeah.
gateway kind of thing. Yeah.
And before that, it was just Ultramarine everything.
yeah.
Gilliman was the first Primarch,
Yeah,
sort of appeared back.
yeah,
He's then running the Imperium, so it sort of had to be Ultramarines before anyone else.
Yeah.
yeah.
But even like orcs, they always like orcs seem to have had like it may not be every edition, but like you can see like I was looking at this thing where it showed like the orcs from first edition to like 10th edition. I was like almost every second edition they were getting a refresh.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you need like
And then there's
the
Grey
orcs-
Knights that haven't got a new army since refreshed since the death of Osama bin Laden.
Yeah. Well, like Empress Children have never had an army.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, and there's this like what salamanders are. They had an army, but like a really long
Very
time.
short range.
yeah.
They've got
All-
a very small range
all
of
of them do.
specific salamanders.
yeah.
Or like
Units?
Iron Hands.
Yeah. Even smaller.
That's what I was saying in my video. That like most of the chapters at the moment only have like one character model for each of them,
But then
and barely that.
the generic models, I guess, you paint them different, then it's fine to run.
Yeah,
them.
because they're blank canvases. So I get So that's why they sell more, is because people, here's your blank slate. You run with it the way you want.
Yeah, I just especially with like being so far into chaos, like you really are either CSM or Death Guard, World Eaters.
K-Sons are now Emperor's Children. Yeah.
K-Sons now Emperor's
The
Children.
difference between there is that because those four are the poster boys for the Chaos Gods, they have to be different from each other.
Yeah.
There has to be a distinction there. But the problem is that because with the way the Marines are built and the way that they are painted is that there's literally very little or no distinction. The only reason why that's changing now is because now we've got Death Company for Blood Angels, and now we've got Dark Angels that have their own specific units, and they can only be run in Dark Angels.
Yeah.
So and now that we've got Space Wolves, same thing again. they're going to be only those units are only going to be running Space Wolves.
Can't run Wolfen with
Yeah,
a squad of Ultramarines. Sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
that's why like if you bring this army into this detachment, it has to have this keyword, for example, to try and exclude that. So my thinking is that hopefully with Salamanders coming, Black Templars, Salamanders, Imperial Fists, and then Raven Guard. My hope is that it's going to be something similar where they're going to get their own love, their own amount, like their own specific units. My hope, GW here we're talking about, hope is that Salamanders will get some sort of like Dragon Drake Riders, potentially, hopefully. And then maybe Imperial Fists will get some sort of like Paladin Defenders with giant storm shields. And then
just get
Raven Guard gets Wraith
They'll
Slippers.
get a Trump mini with like a wheelbarrow and some bricks.
We're going to build a wall. And then instead of like a head detachment, it's just a hair.
Yeah.
Perturabo takes his helmet off. It's just Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
41st millennium.
Just holding his helmet with like a red hat on.
Yeah.
Make the Imperium great again.
Yeah.
Don't make me make that sticker. I'll do it. But yeah, that's my opinion of how they're going to go. But what do you think you're foreseeing for Space Marines, like the way that they're going at the moment?
Or what do you hope?
Yeah, because if the past is anything dictated by, Dark Angels got a whole refresh range, and then they got their Primarch, and then Blood Angels were the next one to get it, and then they got Death Company with a couple of Sanguinary Guard, if I remember right, and then they also got
With no wings.
with
is
no
a
wings,
big
yeah, which is another thing as well, which is why
Oh
STLs
yeah,
are so good.
the chicken wings.
Yeah, and then they got Astarath and the other chaplain, if I remember correctly. Or they got a couple of them
Lamartis.
characters. Lamartis, that's it.
They
And then they
haven't
got a
got-
couple of them characters.
They didn't get a Sanguinius.
No,
No.
because he's dead.
I know, yeah, he's dead, but like they have the.
Do we need to go back through the Horus Heresy
I
again?
don't know. I know he's dead.
Well, we are, but
But they brought him out for. Was it Horus? There's like the resin print.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
Horus
they-
Heresy,
they- yeah.
the 30k Sanguinius.
yeah, they all have their own like Forge World Primarch models that you can bring in Horus Heresy games. But
But even
Which are
with
hand sculpted.
yes,
with like dead Primarchs, they won't bring them out to play, like just for a games aspect. Like even though he's dead, like would they
what
not
you mean in
bring him?
40k?
Yeah, so they wouldn't bring a.
No, because that's a
Sanguinius.
huge balance issue. Because then you have to make a character sheet for Sanguinius, and he has completely different abilities to, say, the Lion or Magnus, for example.
You could proxy him, but
Yeah,
you'd
you
be
could proxy
playing
him.
like if you were going to run Sanguinius, you'd have to run. Say you ran the Lion and converted him into a Sanguinius, but you would have to run that army as a Dark Angel.
Yeah.
with what we were talking about in the last episode that we recorded with the gene seeds being out there, could they not bring back someone
No.
like
Nah. Because you also have to remember,
Fabius could, but he wouldn't be a very good Sanguinius.
and on top of that, you got to remember that it wasn't just gene tech, that science that went into it. It was also warp fuckery that went into it as well, which is
okay, so
because
it's not going to bring
so, history lesson. So we remember when we were talking about the Horus Heresy and when the Emperor went to the 4 Chaos Gods and then made a deal with them
yeah
that to borrow like their power or use their power, whatever it was, in order to create his 20 sons.
yeah
It wasn't just because the Emperor was a genius in terms of genetic crafting, because he already made the Custodians and he made So he had the science side of it. The Chaos Gods had the warp side of it. So they're both combined. That's why all the Primarchs are at least a little bit of warp touched in some way.
yeah. So with the gene seed, they wouldn't bring
I heard
back,
sniggering.
especially Fulgrim.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't bring, like they wouldn't use that to be able to bring back dead Primarchs. Like,
No, I think that, like, say for example, if you brought back Conrad Kurz, the people that would be most upset would be Night Lords fans.
Yeah, because the whole thing with the Night Lords is that he let himself be killed.
He wanted to die, but at the same time, I think it's more or less like Horus is, for example, cannot come back. He is dead,
Yeah, but he was soul dead.
soul dead too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he's Kamehameha into Legends and never coming back.
okay.
So I think that when it comes to Primarchs, the only reason they'll ever come bring them back is like Devastation of Baal when Dante was about to die and he was confronted with the spirit of Sanguinius because he's still in the warp.
Okay.
So these characters may live in like the not quote unquote afterlife, but bringing them back physically would be something else and differently.
Especially Ferrus Manus.
You know, can't see his way out. No head.
Okay. So there, what you were saying. So there'd be some armies that would be coming back. Like if they do bring some back.
Oh yeah, in lieu of getting a Primarch, they would get like their chapter master getting an awesome mini, for example.
Yeah.
I just I feel bad for the people that are like, you know, fans that say like Blood Angels. You know, they'll never get Sanguinius or like they'll never get like
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We won't.
like even Dark Angels. You know, they've now got the Lion come back. Gilliman's.
You can live in Horus Heresy, and when Blood Angels get their own mini, when Sanguinius gets his own mini, like proper mini, like you know how Angron got his, and then Lothar Seren got one too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Fulgrim got
and Fulgrim got his. Yeah,
that monstrous thing.
What? Okay.
yeah.
This was a big topic when we did the announcement for Fulgrim. What is your take on the
The new Fulgrim.
new, like the 40k Fulgrim versus like the resin Fulgrim?
40k Fulgrim is exactly what I pictured in my head when listening to the Fabius Bile books. Like the way that
They describe it.
character is carried.
Yeah,
Because they describe him pretty well, snake body and everything. The Horus Heresy one is too pure.
too
See,
pure. Yeah,
I was on the. I thought that the Horus Heresy one sounded what Fulgrim would be because he wanted to be perfect. So like he looks good as like. So I thought that model was more, but I haven't read any of the books, so I don't know.
I think that's like when he first ascended. So there isn't much
change.
There's not a lot of corruption. Similar to the Angron's Horus Heresy mini.
yeah.
Doesn't look anything like the 40k.
40K.
The 40k one's seen some shit.
He still looks like very human though.
Yeah. So similar sort of situation is that Fulgrim disappeared into wherever he went. And
Somewhere in the Arch
hid
Era.
away,
Yeah.
going mentally insane for
The only time he ever came out that I know of is Rylanor, and that was it.
yeah.
That's all I know of.
And
And Fabius Bile.
yeah, and going off of that, Fabius had to go into a dimension, into a cave, and find him curled up in a dark corner.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was just chilling in a throne world or anything.
Yeah.
He was hidden in a cave.
He was like,
So like make the comparison to the video game Until Dawn, when the girl falls down and turns into the Wendigo because she had to eat her mate.
Yeah.
She was down there for a year,
like
going insane,
Yeah.
eating her mate. So if you're in a cave for a year, self-exiled or not, you're gonna get a little bit more fucked up.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then to add 10,000 years on top of that.
10,000 years, bunch of warp stuff. You're Slaanesh demon prince. Like,
I just didn't like. I keep calling it the butt plug.
Yeah.
yeah.
It just looks so like it. We talk
Here's the
about
thing,
this.
it's one of those things that when you write it down, it makes sense.
It's
to
a
the
target.
character, but it just the way that they painted it, it just yeah.
It's a target. Like if I was like going up against Fulgrim, like I'm
a video game?
aiming for that.
In a video game, like because that looks like a shoot counter. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't like they made it blue because it just didn't contrast well, like we were talking about with the color wheel. It just didn't look right.
But
That's my
okay, so
opinion.
you are a fan of the 40k.
I'm a fan of the 40k one. I like all the faces. Yeah, some look derpy, but there are characters in 40k that are arguably worse. The Age of Sigmar Slaanesh Prince in the full gold armor.
Yes.
The amount of people that have bought that mini and not realized that he has arseless chaps on until they've built that figure is insane.
Yeah. Literally.
What?
Yeah.
He has
Us-
no ass. Like there's nothing covering his bare bum is just on the miniature.
because they don't realize it until they paint it.
They go to paint it, they turn around. It's
They're like,
just
"Is
a
that
bare
armor
arm.
or is that?" They're like, "Armor or is
I'm
that
gonna-
skin?"
I'm gonna buy that and then put the
It's
little
down there.
It shows nothing about it on the box. There's no
there's no-
360 angle of it until you build it and you turn it around. And you
That's
go,
some model maker in GW being like like Disney where they've got hidden dicks everywhere.
yeah, and
like
I
he's
think because it's like Slaanesh, they can go, oh, we can get away with it a little bit. But yeah, he's arseless chapped, golden armor.
I love it.
I would paint it like that too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
But so many people buying it and going, I'm missing a piece. No,
That's
not.
it.
he's arseless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, read the room. Read your god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I didn't mind some of the faces actually of the new one. The only one I was a little bit iffy about was like the helmet version
Yeah.
because I feel like
that's the only
he
one I
wouldn't wear a
really didn't
helmet.
like because like he does wear helmets in the Horus Heresy, but the way it's described is not the way it looks like in that. So it's just when you picture a helmet for Fulgrim, that's not what I think in my head.
No, I would think like he wants to show off his face, like he thinks he's perfect.
Well, for starters, he wouldn't wear one, but if he did,
But
it would
yeah,
be
he
very
wouldn't-
ni-
he
I
wouldn't
would think
wanna-
it would be very nice and ornate, but at the same time, again, 10,000 years can change a person.
Being stuck in a cave can change you, but then it could also they can also be like there's bound to be a new Fulgrim book at some point. When
it just came out.
Yeah, the new Fulgrim book.
yeah,
I haven't read it. I've got
neither have I. So as far as I know, there could be a lore reason for that.
helmet.
You know, being that he could be hiding from Mortarion for some reason because of all the fucky shit they did when they were human. So he could have a gas mask for God knows what reason.
Yeah,
Papa Nergs.
exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And Slanesh is the youngest Chaos God, so there could be dramas between the Chaos Gods that's causing the Suns to fight.
Who knows?
I thought for the longest time too, like when we talk about Chaos Gods, I thought that like the Angron was like the Khorne Chaos God. Like I thought that was actually him. And Nurgle, like the
You thought
Great
Mortarion was... Yeah.
no, the Great Unclean one. I thought was
Okay, I see. I getcha.
yeah, and then like you guys kept referencing like, oh no, they don't actually have like an actual picture. I'm like,
But they've
what
got
do
a
you
mole.
mean? They got a mole. Like
Yeah.
isn't that them? So yeah, I was for the longest time. I was like,
But now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
yeah, now I know.
All right. Well, I'm very happy with that chat. We're talking. That's the thing about Warhammer. You start off with one thing and then you end with another. Didn't know where we were going down that route, but like I was happy to have it. So yeah. Favorite weapons, like I said, Mercy and Forgiveness by Kurz, just because it's just poetic in that regard. But I also love Dawn's Storm's Teeth, his giant double-handed red chainsword that's the size of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, bigger than a man. It was like huge, and he used it to kill Alfarius and take his head clean off.
yeah.
Or was it Alfarius?
Oh.
Well, yes and no. It's Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's Primarch. Yes and no.
Yeah.
One of them is dead. One of them is definitely dead because there's no way that a normal Marine could have held his own against Dawn for that time period.
Was there one of them? Was there always two? Was there always one?
This is where it gets into the
Yeah.
bullshit of it all. This is why I don't want.
Oh,
This is why I don't want to do the Alpha Legion episode.
This is an argument that I had with one of my mates for the longest time.
Hmm.
It's portrayed in media that there is two,
Yeah,
but it is written that there is one.
yeah. And then in the Alfarius Primarch book, it literally starts off saying, "I am Alfarius. This is a lie," and then he details his whole backstory, and then it ends with, "I am Alfarius. This is a lie." So the whole book could just be BS for all we know, or non-canon, or
Could
canon.
be, or it could be that Alfarius suffers from a split personality and is both, or that there are twins.
Could have been twin. One died, but his like brain went into. So there's actually
Correct.
two.
Or he literally does have multiple personalities
Yeah.
syndrome, or it could be anything.
I do love that the Alpha, like the twin thing, like because we've talked about it a few times. Like you don't know whether one's dead or whether one
You
like
don't know which one's the Primarch.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's like really funny. Like
because even though he's the smallest Primarch, their legions are one of the biggest. So that way, that's how they get away with the size thing.
yeah,
Yeah, but we'll get into that with the Alpha Legion episode.
I do
So
want
yeah,
to ask you a question, but the two. What is your take on the two? There's 20 Primarchs, but there's only 18. What's your take on the two that are missing? Do you think that it was just GW trying to make it so that you could
well,
make
that is the
custom
meta
chapter?
reason, is it?
The real world reason would be so that you can
Make
your own army and
like
there'd be a
one
lore
chaos
reason
one.
for that existing. The other thing could be open to, you've got the Legion of the Damned. Who's their Primarch? Where did they come from? That could be something to do with it. We could
Are they one of the cursed foundings or are they not?
Correct.
Or cursed legions?
And the fact that we don't know what happened to the other two could lead into 1,000,001 different pathways.
Funnily enough, in that Fulgrim book that I was telling you about, his actual Primarch book, he's talking to the second Primarch. And he said, what did he say? It was when Fulgrim wanted to go off by himself and he wanted to stop being under Horus because now his legion was at somewhat full strength. And 7 of his brothers said no, that it's not good enough. And one of them was the second, saying that he should check his hubris. And then Fulgrim said he remembered an old Earth story about a pot calling a kettle black. Yeah. So, and that's funny as well, because that means the second Primarch was with the Primarchs a lot longer than what we thought.
Oh, so I thought the two just were never found by the Emperor.
They were found.
They were definitely,
They had legions.
both Primarchs were found, and they each had their own legions. One of them was absorbed into the Ultramarines. That's been confirmed in the first Heretic. Is that's why one of the reasons why the Ultramarines are so big and they have over 250,000 is because it was absorbed.
But the Primarch is still,
the Primarch is gone.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Primarch is suspected to be soul dead, like Horus.
Yeah. So as far as we know, it was Leman Russ that killed him, and that's why he's known as the Executioner.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about the number 11. We don't number 11. We don't know anything about them.
Which is why I brought up that whole thing with the Legion of the Damned.
Yeah.
Why are they damned?
These are the Ghost Rider ones.
Yeah, I know. I love the
There's got to be a reason as to why they are called the Legion of the Damned and why it's Legion and not chapter.
Exactly. And on top of that, why they have a classification already when they were found or when they were discovered //
I mean, that would be a really cool Primarch too. Like have like a, like a Ghost Rider, like a flaming Primarch.
There's theories that Ferrus Manus is now part of the Legion of the Damned, but I don't.
There's so many cool artworks of him with a flame head now instead. Yeah. But at the same time, like, is that them or are they? What are they? The Starbirds or whatever they were in the 21st founding. Like that's another theory running around.
I think that the theory ties well to them with the naming specifically, Legion and Damned, being that was the 11th Primarch.
I think it was a mixture of both, where it was the 11th Primarch, and then they absorbed that cursed founding, the 21st founding, and they became part of the Legion of the Damned.
Yeah, like when I was looking into armies and stuff, I saw someone had painted a Legion of the Damned, and I was like, oh, that's like a really cool like custom chapter. And I like send it to Blake, and Blake's like, oh no, that's a real chapter. Okay, give me all the information about these guys.
I was like, they're not in the books.
Little about them.
Yeah,
they're in the books, so they're not technically they're canon, but they're not technically in like.
I don't think you can get the models anymore.
I thought
you can't.
so. Okay, I thought Legion of the Damned were part of Sally's.
I see why you thought that.
Like I thought they were like a sub faction or whatever custom.
So they just appear when they are needed, and that's it. They just appear.
They jump out of the
very Ghost Rider.
They jump out of the war.
You could be the last man standing, Astra Militarum. You're about to die. The world's about to end, and just out of the smog, the entire Legion of the Damned will rock up, fuck shit up, and you will blink and they're gone.
And also, for the most part, bullets pass right through them.
Yeah.
So they're not technically there, but they are at the same time.
Very Ghost Rider. You can shoot Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
He's just going to spit the bullets back at you, just on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to.
Do an episode on them.
Do an episode.
Well, we're going to have to do an episode in the successor chapters, and then I'm going to do all of them, like quick explanation, so that way you have like who the Mantis Warriors are, who the Minotaurs are, and all that Lamenters and all that stuff, and then you can gravitate towards them, and then we can go down that rabbit hole.
This is the part I really hate about our podcast. Is like I'll go, can you tell me about these guys? He's like, no, I got to tell you like 16 other things first before.
Well, you can't appreciate them otherwise.
Because you'll make. That's the thing. Like I've been doing this since I was 12, so I know a lot lore-wise, and I've made my own connections and I've got my own theories. But you'll end up respecting it more knowing the other stuff, because then when he gets to that stuff and he mentions one little tiny fact, and you can be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Whereas if he says it to you, you'll be like, why?
yeah. I've found
And then he's got to come back.
And I have to start to explain everything.
Yeah.
I've found that with a few things that you've said, like Horus and Abaddon, like the gauntlet thing, like was a big connection. I was like, that's Abaddon's like gauntlet, and then like, no, that's Horus's gauntlet. No, it's
Yeah.
and then that sort of made sense. Like, I know, I just want to know all these things.
I know. But the thing is, as well, that when you jump right into it, it's the same thing as well. Like when I jumped into Emperor's Children for the first time, I didn't fully appreciate it, and then when I read Fulgrim again for a second time, I appreciate it so much more because I now understand everything. And for example, there's a book called Prospero Burns. It's from the point of view of the Space Wolves when they take on the Thousand Suns, and I did it back to front. I read that and then I read A Thousand Suns. I should not have done that. It ruined Prospero Burns for me in terms of I thought it was like the worst book ever. But then when I read A Thousand Suns and saw it from the other point of view, I was like, oh, this makes more sense now. And then I reread it and then it made more sense.
Then there's a Grey Knight book about them fighting against the Space Wolves in space.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because they have a disagreement on what should happen between the Inquisition and the Space Wolves.
Oh yeah, Space Wolves fight the Grey Knights at one point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's called the Months of Shame.
And then it's never spoken about again.
Never spoken of again. Which I find very interesting because now they're fighting with each other. They're fighting together on Armageddon against this whole new thing with the Space Wolves, Grey Knights, Black Templars, and they're on Armageddon fighting Angron. And I'm just like, okay.
Oh, that's the
Yeah, it was in the video.
video
yeah.
that they
How were
and
talking
you were
about it.
like going on about Armageddon. I was thinking like other Armageddon sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But I'm content. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No.
No,
Good.
I'm happy. I'm good. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe. We want to get out of small channel hell. Join the Discord. We're bountiful of talks like this will be happening. For newcomer and old veteran are more than welcome to come in. Had a couple of noobs asking questions last night, and they're just like, "You should have a noob channel." And I'm like, no, that's what the general are for. That's what. Ask it in here. There's a space for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, please like and subscribe. Join everything. Go check out CJ at his Instagram and all of the Gamers Village information in the description.
Hey, Armoury.
Armoury as well for commission painting.
We'll
Anything
see
else?
CJ on the channel again.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll see
sure
him again when he ranks our paintings. Okay. All right. See you later.
Bye.
For the glory of chaos!